Alright, so the screenshot for this video, one that's the introduction for it or whatever, I want you to read that. When AI screws up, this is the reason that a human being has to listen to the video. AI screws up a shit ton. Now the AI, when I press the AI summary, which any video that it'll let me do that on, I do. And every single time there's mistakes because AI is fucking useless. Artificial intelligence is exactly that. Artificial. It's not actually intelligent. So it says that I was arrested for carrying an axe. No, I wasn't. I was never arrested for carrying an axe. What I said was that a registered sex offender named Robert Franklin Warnick, well, he pretended I was out to get him because I was using an axe for work. Now, I wasn't allowed to defend myself in court against these accusations. I was illegally prevented from going to court by Scott DaCosta and Sean Holloway and their immoral and illegal charges. Which, by the way, they had to drop those charges because they had literally no evidence. 3 of my predators that, for my safety, and the hopes that I spoke about my intentions to turn them in publicly, that if they tried to pretend that I was out to get them and falsely arrest me, that maybe there was one good person on this fucking planet who would see the video and go, hey, Sean said he was going to go turn in the sheriff and now he's disappeared. What happened to Sean? Why is it that the people that he was trying to turn in were allowed to physically assault Sean David Schwartz on multiple occasions, to slander his name and libel his name, including in a court of law, intentionally lying to a judge, multiple judges, in order to hide the crimes committed by Sheriff Scott DaCosta, his secretary, Leslie Snell, their friend, Robert Franklin Warnick, and, of course, William Barr, who was a former Denver police officer. He married a woman named Jessica Martindale, who became a police officer as well. Obviously, her name is Jessica Barr. So what did they do? They coordinated together. They worked together to have me arrested on false charges and ran around telling everybody I was schizophrenic. Now, the fact that people were already telling me that Scott DaCosta was running around telling people I was schizophrenic, witnesses like Wendell McPhee telling me that Scott DaCosta is running around telling people in town I'm schizophrenic. People like Dallas Richmond telling me that Scott DaCosta is telling people that I'm schizophrenic, and also telling Dallas Richmond not to help me, not to allow me access to the internet, not to allow me access to my computer. Doing everything that he could to cut me off from the resources necessary to turn in the evidence against him. To Sergeant Jones of Nebraska State Troopers, Troop E. When Robert Franklin Warnick came out of his house, got into his car, sped down the road after me, narrowly missed me, pulled his car slantways across 2 lanes of traffic. There was no traffic there, but he was across both lanes, right outside of Dennis and Brenda Dickinson's house. 44 Thompson Avenue, Chapel, Nebraska, 69129. Dennis Dickinson and Brenda Dickinson. Right across the street is Dallas Richmond's house, 41 Thompson Avenue, Chapel, Nebraska, 69129. That's where I was living at the time. I had to flee the physical assaults by Robert Franklin Warnick in Chapel, Nebraska, because I was recording evidence to give to the Nebraska State Patrol Troop E Sergeant Jones. This was literally the day I was supposed to turn in this evidence to Sergeant Jones, which did not matter because Sergeant Jones didn't show up. And there's the fact that I had to try to turn in Robert Franklin Warnick. So, of course, I'm trying to turn in Robert Franklin Warnick during the time that I'm supposed to meet Sergeant Jones. Meanwhile, Sergeant Jones was supposed to have her superior give me a call back to verify the appointment, and they literally never did that. Megan Missigatis from the Nebraska Autism Society was the one who had control of all of the evidence. She literally had the control. I could not give it to the state troopers if I wanted to. Megan Missigatis was the one who had to do that. And those were her instructions. And when I was arrested on false charges, while her and I were trying to turn in Scott DaCosta to the state troopers, she literally never made an effort. The entire time I was locked up, she literally never made an effort. And then after I got out, her excuse for never making the effort is that the evidence isn't going to make any difference without me. It's not going to make any difference without my testimony. Nobody's going to be able to figure that out without me present. Well, why don't you tell the fucking courts that? The other thing is, whether they're able to make sense of it with or without me or not, the instructions that she was supposed to follow and said that she would follow was to give all of that information to Nebraska State Troopers, Troop E, Sergeant Jones. You send me to people for help, claiming that they will help me. But when it takes them literally years to not keep their words, that is not my fault. And I am not a bad person for speaking up about their complacency, laziness, excuses, and the sheer quantity of physical assaults that I have had to endure, and the sheer quantity of false charges that I have had to spend time locked up and prevented from showing evidence, despite the fact that they dropped all of those charges because they had to. They have to repeatedly drop those charges because they have no evidence. But they didn't press those charges against me because they had evidence. They pressed those charges against me because I had evidence against them and was trying to show it.